Now impunity make judge allow criminal we suppose go prison waka free.
Act now. Stop impunity today.
Do the right thing, stop impunity in Nigeria. So do the right thing. Stop impunity. Do the right thing. Stop impunity. Stop impunity in Nigeria. Do the right thing. Thank you.
By all accounts, we are a very great nation. Somehow, we have a 7% growth in our GDP. Somehow, we're doing well, yet there's impunity. So we can absolutely eradicate it.
Ranked as the second biggest economy in Africa and 31st in the world, endowed with tremendous natural and human resources, it's a wonder Nigeria has not surpassed or even matched global expectations in terms of human development. Every country has its problems. In Nigeria, the fuel or driving force behind most of ours is known as impunity. In simple language, impunity is nothing but a disregard of law and order in society. An open and shameless display of lawlessness with the arrogance of not being challenged because there is no accountability.
Now impunity make businessman go settle oga custom, come carry fake drugs enter country.
Act now. Stop impunity today.
I welcome you to this formal launch of a documentary produced by the campaign to highlight the manifestation of impunity in Nigeria and its negative impact on the country's development. This campaign was launched on the 16th of May in Abuja as the first articulated concerted effort to challenge impunity in Nigeria. As we may be aware, impunity is a malady which is much more widespread and much more dangerous than corruption or many of those modern vices that daily occupy media space and the headlines. Impunity fuels other vices, and it also diminishes the capacity of the state to govern because it promotes the delusion of immunity from sanction according to law. This campaign looks at all levels and all arms of government and key agencies of government whose mandates are critical to national aspirations. Since its launch on the 16th of May, the campaign has carried out a number of activities, notably a series of capacity building programs for diverse categories of stakeholders such as researchers, media practitioners, civil society groups, government officials, and others on the ills of impunity in the different thematic areas and how to tackle impunity through a broad-based coalition of activism.
Today's work is about the high cost of governance, the National Assembly and the arbitrary increase in their allowances, like a comparison between how much they spend on things that are trivial and how much that is needed for things that are important in Nigeria. No roads, ASU's on strike, even the fuel subsidy money shopping. There's so many things that are going on that are so wrong.
The House Assembly here will listen a lot and we act. Be sure that we will be on your side because you are not asking for money, you are not asking for houses, you are asking for good governance. And that is what we stand for at the House Assembly.
Corruption and misuse of public funds are not new in Nigeria. Globally, the country is often rated as one of the most corrupt nations in the world, ranking 144th out of over 175 countries in the Transparency International 2013 Corruption Perception Index. One of the most notorious scandals in recent times is that affecting the former Minister of Aviation, Princess Stella Adaeze Oduah, who, according to press reports, colluded with officials of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA), an agency she supervised, to acquire 2 bulletproof vehicles at the cost of 255 million naira. When the news of the purchase of the cars broke out, the public outcry led the president to appoint a special investigative committee headed by the National Security Advisor to look into the matter and come up with recommendations. The National Assembly, specifically the House of Representatives, also initiated a probe, which led to the disclosure of more damaging allegations. Despite the recommendations of the House of Representatives Committee on Aviation, which looked into the matter, a recommendation which was adopted by the whole House, and the continuing public outcry on the bulletproof car scandal, no sanctions were taken against the then Minister of Aviation or any official of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority.
Na impunity, na him make person get contract, make you do road. You know, do am. Come keep the money for inside your own pocket.
Act now. Stop impunity today.
Impunity is akin to a cancer that has stunted Nigeria's social, economic, and political development, as well as the progress of its people. And the campaign is born out of this realization that Nigeria's development challenges are in a large measure the direct result of a culture of impunity that has gradually taken root in all sectors of the society over the last several decades.
By combating impunity in the rule of law, the campaign wants to awaken Nigerians to the need to insist on an end to impunity and the abuse of rule of law. The same campaign is calling on all Nigerians, including civil society organizations, the media, professional bodies, trade unions, and other sectors, to support the week of action against impunity by carrying out activities in protest against impunity in Nigeria, particularly in the rule of law and administration of justice sector.
Impunity, of course, is an antisocial behavior. And all of us as Nigerians, we are beginning to see the effect of impunity from the highest level to the lowest. From the highest level where ministers or ministries or agencies can spend money that is not appropriated, to the lowest level where somebody chooses to drive against traffic and does not care whether or not you are at risk, or just takes the position that nothing can happen to me. We want to present to the public these findings, this research finding by the Stop Impunity Nigeria campaign. It is titled Impunity in Nigeria, Knowledge, Attitude and Perceptions, Findings from a National Survey. And it recommends that impunity can end in Nigeria if we all do our bit.
Basically, most of the tweets that has really got people's attention today, those ones that has to do with a call to action. I think one of our most interactive one has been people's willingness to want to stand for what is right and wanted to challenge the government to demand for more accountability.
But we're saying that we need to awaken a spirit of patriotism. Fight for Nigeria as if you're fighting for your family. And I believe with that, Nigeria is going to be a better place.
I think this is just a medium and a way to enlighten our followers and making it an interactive section on how to make our country better.
What I am saying is that sometimes we always criticize the police for collecting bribes. We always criticize government departments for being corrupt. But there are little steps we in our own corner must take if we want impunity to be eradicated in our community. One, we should not pay bribe if we want impunity to be ended in Nigeria.
My name is Comfort Akikowo. I'm a beautician on behalf of NASHCO, Lagos State. I want to ask, my question goes this way. As a beautician, we need light to work. I want to ask, should we pay bills when there is no electricity? When even we've not used electricity for 1 month, should we pay bills when bills are brought to us?
We hear embezzlements day in, day out. Why is this? In Delta now, we heard about the 9 billion naira spent in 1 week. Are there any laws guiding like this embezzlement? What are the punishments for this embezzlement? Nigeria also is a place that in the police station, if you are a suspect, you are meant to stay in the counters, police counters. But Nigeria today, why is it that they stay in the prison cells with criminals? Why? These are my questions and they need answers.
Now impunity make police slap ordinary person with the waka for Egunje.
Act now. Stop impunity today.
One of the most shocking scenes of 2013 in Nigeria was the all-out brawl that took place at the Rivers State House of Assembly on July 19. That day, the members of the House and some of their supporters turned the hallowed chambers into a fighting arena. Events of that day brought to fore a lingering crisis in Rivers State that pitched the elected executive governor of the state, Mr. Rotimi Chibuike Amechi, against the then Rivers State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Joseph Mbu. An interpretation of this in the Constitution means that the police commissioner works alongside the governor, who is the chief security officer of the state, to maintain law and order in the state. As such, when both parties are working at cross purposes, it will be difficult to maintain law and order in the state. In the River State crisis, the police commissioner was accused of acting with impunity in several of the actions he took against the governor and his perceived supporters. A senior advocate of Nigeria has accused the police commissioner of infringing on the fundamental rights of the governor. He also accused the commissioner of subjecting an elected governor to psychological harassment and physical intimidation. In an editorial on the 15th of September 2013, This Day newspaper accused the Rivers State Police Command, saying it has consistently displayed a patent lack of respect for the office of the governor and proceeded to informally erect itself as an alternative center of power and sovereignty in the state. Several other groups, including the Human Rights Alliance and the Institute of Humanitarian Law, the Nigeria Labour Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Nigerian Senate all called for the redeployment of the Police Commissioner Mbu from Rivers State, but the federal government did not heed to these calls.
We asked, under the Freedom of Information Act, we asked Madam Minister to give us the list of the agencies where those workers were discovered. Who were the accounting officers? Who prepared the personnel, the payroll, the permanent secretary, the minister? She refused. And we went to the court. The court has just given the first order. And she has given us the list, not of the people who prepared the accounts, but she's given us the list of the MTAs. And that's from where we saw the budget office had 1,000. And after verification, it came down to 251. We are still pressing for the other part of it, and I see the court will grant us that. And we'll publish these things in due course.
And the theory is all about doing something for government, and government in response doing something for you. and much time has been spent talking about your rights, talking about your benefits, but I will shift from the aspect of the government to talk more on what we as citizens need to do.
Now impunity makes students we feel one settled teacher.
Act now. Stop impunity today.
It is important for a cross-section of our society to come together. That's why we have the National Orientation Agency on board, considering that it's government's agency that is charged with some level of moral rearmament and bringing back the ethics and social norms in society. And then the two big groups of CAN and the NSCIA is about a captive audience that could possibly be able to reach out to the grassroots and all those places that we ourselves as traditional civil society organizations may not be able to reach out.
What Nigeria needs today is action. It's not platitude. It's not sermonizing. It's not pontificating. What we need is real action. We have been taking for a ride for too long. And this is the high time for civil organizations like your own, to go back to the drawing board and think of how to stop the decay in the society.
Now impunity make person we vote, they thief our money go London.
Act now. Stop impunity today.
Our focus is to review the concept of electoral impunity. What is it all about? What are the key issues? And in what way and manner does electoral impunity manifest? What are the causes of this impunity? What are the facilitating factors, issues and challenges? And what strategies are feasible for ending the practice of impunity in the electoral process? How can we have an even playing field for all during elections, where every vote counts and there is internal party democracy and transparent and accountable election management? The topics for discussion will include the management of elections, the law and its loopholes, internal democracy, electoral violence, campaign finance, and the use of state and administrative resources, the media and its contribution to the electoral process, and some other things we cannot definitely remember as we are starting.
Our senator, they say 150 billion for 1 year. How many will be for Nigeria now? Here, wedding man in Nigeria. Here, all impunity is defining that we should stop doing what is wrong deliberately. When you do what is wrong, and you know what you're doing is wrong, and you are doing it and nothing will happen, that is impunity.
The tricyclist community in Delta State, though differ in tribes and tongues, but in brotherhood they stand. Putting a stop to abuse of public funds, they say, is a task that must be accomplished. Reactions of other Nigerians who received flyers containing the 8-point demands of the Stop Impunity team were captured.
So we need a good government. Yes. By special grace of God, we are going to pray because it's only God can do such a thing.
All that we have to do, we just see anything we see, we are managing it. Ultimately, God intervene.
They know the medical facilities that we are over there. They love this. Why is it that they did not pass a law to upgrade the facility we have here to that standard.
If this thing we are doing will help us in this country, let us continue doing it.
The awareness walk took off from the Warri Central Park and terminated at the popular Enere Junction at exactly midday when whistles were blown to drive home the demands. They include stopping importation of fuel, downward review of salaries of lawmakers to 1 million naira a month, and the abolition of the Senate.
Them that we are going to have a peace walk, and they called to say we should not walk. But the law never said that we need to take permission from the police. All we needed to do was to inform them, and like every civilized police which we thought they were, they should have simply provided security for us to do our work. In as much as we are not violating anybody's rights, we are not destroying life or property, they were supposed to escort us to go submit this petition and come back. That's exactly what they were supposed to do.
You were a lawyer, and you know about the Public Order Act, which the police is always trying to rely on when they stop people from engaging in peaceful. What is the position of that act now?
That act has been set aside by the Federal High Court and supported by the decision of the Court of Appeal. And there's no decision from any other superior court which has set aside the decision of the Court of Appeal, stating that those fundamental rights to freedom of movement, freedom of association, before you exercise them, you don't need permission from anybody. All you need to do is to inform them. That's what the state of the law. So I'm surprised that these people, despite the fact that they have lawyers in their midst or that they can even take legal counsel, that they decided to violate the rights of the citizen today.
I have a guest here who is a human rights activist, and his name is Mr. Edet Ojo. He is a human rights activist and also a media rights agenda person.
Good morning.
You're welcome to MITV AM Chats on our political segment.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I think the first word here, I don't know, Jimmy, should be...
Yeah, let's get to the root of this word, impunity, because we hear it being used over and over again here. So,
well, impunity is a basic disregard for the law, for established rules and procedures. And it's part of our political problems in this country, where a lot of people basically just put aside the law, put aside rules and regulations, and do whatever they like. And we think it's a major cause of backwardness, because where you have such an environment where there's a frequent disregard for rules, for laws, then you have a state of anarchy, and there's very little hope for development and progress. Just to illustrate the problem, I'll give you a few examples from way back in our political history to more recent times. You would remember that many years ago we had a situation where a sitting governor, Governor Chris Ngige of Anambra State, was kidnapped whilst he was still in office, was kidnapped under the auspices of a private businessman, and nothing happened. There was no consequence at all. I mean, that's one of the most brazen examples of impunity that we've had in this country. Even the situation that is happening with the Nigerian Governors Forum right now is also a clear example of impunity, where a small body of 36 people had elections, somebody clearly won, and there's just a clear refusal to accept the outcome of that process. And that often is translated into the wider society where we have bigger elections.